and welcome to Meeple Bits. I'm Ryan Novak. Carved into the crags of the mist-shrouded mountains of ancient Japan lies the shrine of Onitama. It is a place of enlightenment and skill, a site dedicated to the spirits that guide the schools of master arts across the land. Masters of these schools hazard the journey to Onitama with their most promising disciples to meet within its hollowed walls and to prove their superiority in battle. Onitama is a game designed by Shinpei Sato, published by Arcane Wonders for 2 players with a playtime of about 15 minutes. So today, we're going to go ahead and run through and see exactly how Onitama is played. Onitama is a simple enough game to learn, yet an elegant enough game to try to master. A little bit like an abstract version of chess is the best correlation I'll have for this game. Onitama plays over players taking turns doing movements with their pieces. The components will include the playmat, which is nicely done. Each side, both blue and red players receiving 5 tokens or pawns, 4 pawns or students, and 1 master token. So there's the master. And here are your students. There we go, a little bit blurry, but we'll deal with it. And then included also with the game is going to be a deck of cards. I'm not exactly sure how many total in here. I want to say about 20. On these decks of cards are going to be different movements that your players get to take. Mantis, the black indicating where your piece is currently, and brown indicating where they can go, with such names like elephant, ox, tiger, dragon, horse, eel, etc. How we're going to play the game is you're going to choose your side, red or blue. And the objective of the game is to win in one of 2 ways. 1, capture the enemy team's master, or 2, have your master reach the other side's temple or shrine. Those are your winning conditions. Once that happens, the game is over. So to begin, you're going to shuffle the deck of cards and deal out to each player 2 cards, which will be their movements, and they will turn them face up, facing themselves. The reason for this is to give the players the ability to see exactly the movement of where they are positioned, and then the positions that they'll go. Example, red player had received rooster movement. So if we were to look at it from their perspective, like this, they could move any one of their pieces, starting wherever the black is, and go over 1, up 1, left 1, down 1. You don't have to take the full movement. These are just the valid spaces of movement. So example, if I wanted to move this pawn, or this student rather, the only valid location that I can move would be here, as indicated on my over 1 movement and up 1 movement. I cannot go left and down because that would take me off the player board. If I were to move my master, I could move same way. Looking over at the red player, he also has horse. Again, looking from his perspective, I could move my master up 1, and that's about it. This would allow me to move just about anyone off of the front row. Now, to determine who goes first, we're going to draw 1 additional card out of the remaining deck, and the rest will be placed into the box. So let's go ahead and take this one, returning the rest to the box. We've drawn Rabbit. Be near to your opponent, blinding him with your speed. The art of the rabbit is the art of speed, as the card reads. But you'll also notice that down here it's red. This indicates that this is going to be the first player. So this card is going to be placed over on the right side of the board, facing that player. Red team is going to go first. So they're going to activate their rooster card. So they're going to go ahead and use this one to move this student in front of the master. Now, as the turn goes, they're going to take this card, place it here facing their opponent, and take Rabbit into their hand. and that's their turn. The only time that you cannot use one of your cards, you cannot pass a play. The only thing that you can do is if you have no valid movements, the only thing you can do is then pass your turn. However, as the instructions indicate, such as the river flows, so will your moves. So even if I couldn't have done that movement, I would still need to choose a card to pass and then take the other one into my hand. On to blue player. Blue has been dealt Dragon, which as you see has quite a bit of jumping movement involved, and Mantis. Mantis has 2 diagonals and 1 back. So Dragon looks a little valuable, so I'm going to go ahead and use Mantis this turn. Putting it, so again, looking at it from blue player's perspective like this, I'm going to move the master token out here or out here. But I want to take in consideration what his 2 cards allow him to do. So looking from his perspective on the red player, I see that with the rabbit, he'll be able to move diagonally, and with horse, he'll be able to move up or over. So I wouldn't want to put myself in a position that would allow him to take my player. So I'm going to go ahead and move my guy here, seeing that he has no valid movements that will allow him to attack me. So taking this rooster into my hand, and then putting Mantis out here for the next player to take. Red turn. Looking at the board, I'm going to see how I can best attack, and I'm going to go ahead and use the rabbit movement in this one. Or do I want to go ahead and... Yeah, you know what? Let's use rabbit. So we are going to use rabbit to jump diagonally 1, like so. Taking this card, placing it facing the other player, and then bringing Mantis into my hand. Next turn. So blue player, looking at his hand as well, he can see that, well, he has the ability to potentially take one of these pawns, but it would put the master in too much harm's way. So looking at this, I'm going to use Dragon, and looking at it from the perspective of this player, I'm going to use this pawn, as indicated in this location, to go up 1, over 2. So up 1 and over 2. You'll notice the other parts are not filled in. This means that those are not valid spaces for me to move onto. Placing it onto the side for the next player to take and bring your rabbit into my hand. Red team. They're going to look at this and see how they can best maximize damage against me. So, seeing that I have Rooster here, he may not want to move into a position where he's right diagonal from a guy. Same with Rabbit. That would put him in too much harm's way. So looking at Mantis, however, I see that I can go here in hopes that I can use Horse next turn, putting Mantis over there and bringing Dragon into my hand. Blue turn. Looking at what I might be able to do and seeing that with his horse movement next turn, he could take my pawn, I'm going to activate Rooster and try to move him out of harm's way. So I'm going to move him just right over here because as you see with the horse movement, he can move up 1 or over 1. But as you can tell, that actually puts me in harm's way still with the dragon movement. But I'll go ahead and take it all the same. So, using Rooster and bringing Mantis into my hand. So for this demonstration, this will be the last hand that I do. So I am going to go ahead and activate Dragon. As you can see here, I'm going to go up 1 and over. Oh, no, I misread that one. Okay, so that actually was okay. So, whoops, no, he was right here. So up 1 and over 2. Up 1. Actually, red looks like they'll actually win this game as I go through. So with the power of Dragon, moving up 1 and over 2, I have just captured the enemy team's master, thereby ending the game. I seriously did not mean to do that and was just mindlessly going through the different moves. But as you can see, the game can play pretty quickly, and if you're not on your toes, keeping track of what the other players can do, as well as what they're going to take into their hand, then it can get out of hand pretty quickly. Well guys, thanks for joining, and that's how you play Onitama. Alright guys, that's Onitama. I really hope you enjoyed it. My thoughts on the game are, it's a really good strategic game with some depth and simplicity to learn. So it's really one of my favorite two-player optimized games, and those are sometimes pretty difficult to find. I know a lot of games out there have two-player variants, which I'm not typically a fan of personally, because there's just something about the base game that it lacks. One example, which I do plan to review very soon, or do a how-to, is Seven Wonders Duel. Seven Wonders has a two-player variant on their base game, but Duel is just optimized so beautifully. So much like Onitama, it's a two-player optimized game, which if you and a significant other or a couple of friends like to have head-to-head battles, this is definitely one that you should add to your collection. The playmat is nice, the materials and the molds used for the pieces are really good. I guess the only negative that I could give it is there aren't enough cards in the base deck. Like I said, there's about 20, maybe 25. So it's pretty easy to go through the original cards that are there, and as I go through them, you'll find that some of the movements are kind of duplicative, which I thought was odd. One example, I don't know which animals it is, but I believe, like, say, eel and turtle, strangely enough, do the same movement. So that would be my, I guess, drawback to this game, but there is an expansion, I forget the name off the top, which adds another, might be 20 or so movement cards to the game. There's another expansion called Spirits of the Wind, I believe, or Spirits of Water. I'll have to look it up. I should have been more prepared with that one. But I haven't added that yet, but it adds an added element, almost like a third player or a ghost player moving around the board, which is pretty cool. So if you like the base game of Onitama, then you might want to look into adding some of the other expansions into your collection. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions about the game, just leave them into the comments, and I'm happy to answer. Until next time.